And welcome back. We are now going to continue that discussion on strings because there's something else that we still need to discuss when we're looking at strings, and that is this idea of an escape character. So these escape characters, another way to think about them is that we're going to be printing special characters. And what do you mean by when I start saying special characters? Are we just talking like exclamation points? Are we talking periods? What do you mean by special characters? Well, Java has some very special characters that behave a little bit differently when we start looking at strings. All right, and we have dealt a lot of different things with strings. We can see how methods have worked on them. We can see how concatenation can work with them. But if we wanted to put in something, let's say like a quotation mark or a slash, we would find that we'd be even unable to do so. Java would probably behave kind of unusually for what we would expect, or could even throw an error because it's looking for more information. So these characters need a little bit extra more if I want to put like a quotation mark or a slash in them. Now, there are characters that will allow you to escape past this normal kind of coding that Java has built into it using something known as an escape character. Now, that does make a little bit more work for us, the programmer, but it makes it much more clear for the programming language to be able to interpret and use it correctly. So what exactly is this escape character besides obviously something that's going to allow us to do quotations or slashes? Well, with the escape characters, it's just something that, as Java looks at and says to the compiler, hey, whatever information is coming after this first slash, it's not going to have the usual meaning. And so if I just put a slash in there, it's going to throw some things that are going to go on. But if I put a slash and a quote, Java's going to look at that and say, oh, you mean you want to do a quotation mark. So for example, if I want to put a forward slash, a backslash, a double quote, a single quote, etc., these are things that are going to need to start off with that slash mark. You're going to have to make sure you put that in there. Now, quick note, this is the thing I see a lot of first-time programmers kind of mess up on. If you look at this, this is not the slash that's right by your shift key. Instead, this is typically the slash that's up above your enter or return key. So please make sure that you are hitting the correct slash there, because again, it is something I see a lot of first-time programmers do. Like, I got all the slash marks in here correctly. Why isn't this working? It's because you're using the wrong slash. So pay attention to the direction in which your slash is going. Now, you can't simply just put that slash where you want it to go in the text, all right? For example, if I want a slash to appear, I need to put a slash slash to make it appear. So if I were to have ABC slash slash DEF, you'll notice with those slashes that would then output a single slash. So it is very important that we do this, that we are making sure that we have the correct number of those in there, because if I put 3 in there, well, we'll still only get 1 slash, but then it's going to look for that escape character. So if we had done this, it's going to, let's say with 3 slashes, if I had ABC slash 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 D, it's going to be looking for a definition of slash D, and if it doesn't see that, that's when we start getting that unusual behavior. Now, all these different types of things that we're looking at are technically have their own escape sequence. So the slash quote, the backslash, the forward slash, all these are different sequences that happen here in Java. And these are ones that we could probably end up happening quite often. So of course we have our double quote, which is just a backslash with a double quote. We of course have a single quote. We can do a backslash. There is the new line character. This one is actually going to come in handy quite often, especially when we want to put a string or cursor onto a new line. There is the slash R, which is a carriage return. This one is going to simply go to the beginning of the current line. Now, most of the time when we do these, you can do like slash R slash N, but for most of everything, if you simply just do slash N, that will be sufficient for what we need. But know that slash R is there. Carriage return, of course, refers back to the old days of a typewriter, and it would be the whole carriage sliding back into the very beginning of that line. For most of what we're doing, though, you're probably going to end up using slash N. Now, this is an important one, slash T. Tabs are wonderful, especially when we start getting to when we want to start formatting our text. Instead of doing like a series of spaces where things can get kind of all wonky, we can use slash T to put a tab in, and that will format everything really nice so everything's nice and centered, or formatted in a similar manner within our document. Now, let's see some of these escape sequences in action. How does this actually look in our code? Well, if we look at, let's say, slash N, this is simply just, of course, going to start a new line. So if I print out, I'm a new sentence, slash N, I am another, what are we going to get to see? What kind of code is going to come out of here? Well, we're going to get the following output. I am one sentence, new line, I am another. And that's all it's going to do. It's a very simple little bit of code, But instead of having to, for example, 2 print line statements, I can just put a /n there and it makes my code a lot nicer. Now, one final note for you about string processing is that with strings, these are what's considered to be immutable objects in Java, which means we can't change what a string is. And we'll explore more about what that means for something to be immutable versus mutable later on. But what does that mean for us for now? Well, for now, it just means that we can't change the value of a string with a method. All right, we can still write programs to change the value of a string variable. And this might be a little confusing as to the difference. All right, and if I look at this example, like string name was Soprano, name was Anthony plus name, we're changing the value of the string. But what this means is the value of the string, like what it actually equals, might be different. But what a string itself is not going to change. So those kind of things are always going to be the same because these are things that are baked right into Java. An immutable class are typically classes that come with Java. So don't worry about it too much for now. I just want to start getting this terminology planted in your head and just know that we can, of course, update our strings. All right, so if we go ahead and look at our code here, and this is just a quick example. You can see I have in here a /n. I have a /n. And of course, I have another example here with quotes. And we have a concatenation example. So let's just go ahead and run this real quick. One thing you'll see is with the /n, that does a new line character. So ABC is on one line, DEF is on another. Now this is what I'm talking about. We start introducing additional quotes in here. You'll see that here it does the // It's going to look and see whatever that first slash it follows is going to be there. So you'll notice we get ABC /NDEF. And if I were to put a third one in here, just to show you what that looks like, you'll see that it now treats this as a new line character because remember, it's always looking for what's coming after that slash mark. And if it doesn't have something that it identifies with, it's simply going to behave unusually or it might throw an error, etc., etc. So this is, of course, something that we can just kind of keep our eye on how many slash marks we're using within here. Now, if we look at the long sentence, of course, you can see that we, of course, have produced some quotes here. So that's, again, using these quotation marks here. Do be careful if you ever decide to copy and paste something over. You could get curly quotes. If that ever happens, just select those quotes and type back in those quotes. Now, if I look at this last one here with the concatenation, I have first name plus last name. One thing I want to show you is that just like how we did our previous concatenations, or things like putting a space in or something like that, we can also do the same thing here with our escape characters. So if I wanted to, for example, to go ahead and put in a new line character, I can't simply just though put /n in here. If I just put /n, you'll notice we get an error. All right, and that's because this, remember, is technically a string. So we have to put it inside of quotes. This is something I do see some people sometimes forget to do when they're first learning how to work with escape characters. So even with an escape character, it's still technically considered a string. So we have to put that inside quotation marks. So then when we run this again, you'll see that it will behave as expected. Now, if I wanted to, for example, change this to a tab, I could, of course, just put a /t there. And if I rerun my program, you'll see that now we have a tab in here. Now, that's not just one space, it's a series of spaces. If I were to have other ones in here, if I were to put another tab in here, and let's just go ahead and add on, just for kicks here, another tab, and let's just go ahead and put the first name again, just so it's something we can see. You can see tabs may not always look the same in terms of the length. All right, but it's because Java is using that automatic tabbing spacing to get those to where it needs it to go. But again, that's how escape characters work. They are going to be very helpful as we start getting to producing more rich and complex programs. And they are going to be something that is going to really make your life a lot easier when we start looking at things like formatting for tab, or even doing things like quotation marks or new line characters.